There is a great mystery about the US economy. For 2 years, all experts were predicting an economic meltdown, a severe recession in the US. And now people ask, where is it? You experts were promising us a recession, where is it? So this is the mystery. Where is the US recession? Why it hasn't happened yet? And will it eventually happen? Hi, my name is Vitaly, I am an economist, and this is my channel where I teach economics and I comment on economic news. And in this video I'll share with you why a US recession hasn't happened, not yet. This is what the official mainstream media tells you. The US economy is strong. The US is prospering under the steady leadership of President Joe Biden. And maybe, just maybe, the US will have a tiny, teeny recession, a soft landing, so soft you wouldn't even notice it. In short, it's all good.
It's all good, man.
Now, for a fact check. It's not all good, man. Far from it. In 2022, the US had already had a technical recession when GDP fell for 2 consecutive quarters.
Recession.
No, we're not redefining recession.
If we all understand a recession to be 2 consecutive quarters of negative GDP growth in a row, and then you have White House officials come up here to say, no, that's not what a recession is. It's something else. How is that not redefining recession?
Because that's not the definition. That is not the definition.
Brian, please.
We should redefine a recession and relearn economics.
That is not the definition.
Brian, please.
In 2022, the US stock market plunged by 18%, but with inflation, the real stock market crash was a minus 25%. And early this year, the US had a banking crisis when a few banks went down. But still, most experts wanted a bigger recession. They wanted the mother of all crashes. So where is it? Here is the answer. Where is a US recession? It's in Europe. America dumped its recession on Europe. Things are good in America because they are bad in Europe. The US is growing because Europe is declining. And this decline of Europe is the result of a deliberate and well-thought policy of American politicians. Let me explain. In 2022, Europe and the United States imposed sanctions against Russia. They stopped buying the Russian oil and gas. But the United States doesn't depend on the Russian oil and gas, and Europe does. The United States can safely lose all Russian energy, and Europe can't. So when, in 2022, the United States orchestrated the sanctions against Russia, it didn't lose anything. It didn't pay the price. And Europe lost the access to cheap Russian energy. By the way, Japan did it differently. Japan joined the anti-Russian sanctions and immediately got itself an exemption. And Japan is still buying the Russian oil and gas. So Japan was smart enough to keep the cheap energy, and Europe was stupid enough to lose it. And at the same time, the United States passed the Inflation Reduction Act, the act that gave businesses sweeping incentives. And it's not a coincidence that the US passed the Inflation Reduction Act and launched sanctions at the same time. The United States knew exactly what they were doing. And to make things even worse, someone blew up the Nord Stream pipeline, the pipeline that used to transport natural gas from Russia to Germany. And I can't tell you who did it, because there is a freedom of speech on YouTube. On YouTube, you're free to say anything YouTube likes. You can say anything YouTube approves. But if you say anything that YouTube dislikes, you're a dead meat. So let me just say that someone blew up the pipeline. Maybe aliens. Aliens did it. When Europe lost the cheap Russian energy, it faced shortages and sky-high prices for energy. And on top of that, the United States replaced the cheap Russian gas with its own expensive LNG. Which means that for many corporations, the cost of doing business in Europe is now high. Many businesses can't afford being in Europe. So businesses started leaving Europe for America. Volkswagen, Mercedes-Benz and BMW from Germany, Pandora from Denmark, steel maker ArcelorMittal from Luxembourg and aluminum maker Aldel from Denmark. They all cut down their European operations and boosted their American productions. Should we continue? The chemical group Evonik set up its facilities in Indiana and Pennsylvania. The pharmaceutical giant Bayer set up its technology center in Boston. The chemical company OCI from Holland is building a plant in Texas. In 2022, in Germany, foreign direct investments fell by 48%. It's a win-win situation. America wins by getting European businesses, and then America wins by selling its expensive LNG. Sanctions against Russia turned out to be the sanctions against Europe, and they work beautifully. The Russian economy is expected to grow by 2%. 2% is not much, but the economy of the European Union will show a zero growth, and Germany, that used to be the powerhouse of Europe, will actually decline this year. This is the message of this video. In 2022, the United States had started falling into a recession, but then America saved itself by destroying Europe. And the US has been an ally, a dear friend of Europe, and now it's deliberately destroying the European economies. With a friend like this, who needs an enemy? A full disclosure, I am not happy to comment on the fall of Europe. I love Europe. I especially love Spain and Ireland. So it pains me to comment on the decline of European economies. I wish Europeans the best. And I am sure that sooner or later Europe will stand up for itself. It's not going to happen under the current governments, because the current governments already betrayed European interests and put America first.
America first!
But one day Europeans will kick out the current politicians and the new generation of leaders will get a chance to get things right. But it will happen years and years from today. But did the United States avoid the recession, or it just delayed the inevitable? That will be the topic of my next video, so stay tuned, subscribe, and I'll talk to you next time.